Hey, I'm Eliza.
And I'm Stephen.
And we're from Derivan.
What are we doing today, Eliza?
Well, today we're going to talk about water-based patina. Patina.
Funky patina. Okay, cool. Patina. Patina means to give a finish or a look to something.
Yep.
This is great for finishing or putting glazes over, especially objects and things that have got some 3D. You can actually use it on paintings as well. We won't worry about that so much at the moment, but you'll get the idea of how we can do that.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do is take just a normal painted surface like this.
Lovely painted surface like this.
Which you've done beautifully. And get this sort of a finish.
Okay.
So it's obviously not a nice clean sort of one coat, but a real different aging effect is what we're actually looking for in this instance. So we'll get on with it, and we'll start by just doing one of the most simple patinas or aged effects. And what that is just using raw umber with the funky water-based patina.
Patina.
to knock this gold back, which is a bit sort of in your face.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to try and recreate dirt, basically as though this had been around for 50 years and had a whole heap of dirt on it. Why we use patina rather than just sort of grabbing a brush and painting this on? That would be painting. So
we're not doing that today. We're doing the funky
so
patina.
That's it. You're going to keep saying that, aren't you? Now, what we're going to do first is we just wet. Now, obviously, the gold paint's dry, but we're just going to wet the surface up a little bit. And this is maybe not quite as important with the paint, but certainly if you're going to do this finish straight onto raw wood, for instance, like pine furniture or something like that, and that's another finish in itself where you take a piece of raw wood, knock it up with nails and hammers and things like that, and scratch it a bit, and indeed a piece of furniture or something like that. You'd want to wet the surface a bit with the...
Actually, there's a video of you doing that.
There probably is.
If you have a look.
Have a look online. And we just wet the surface a little bit so that the paint doesn't soak straight in.
Yep.
And then you take the patina soaked rag, and what this is doing is this is going to slow the drying time of the paint and allow us to move it around, and we're just using the tiniest amount there.
Okay. It's a little bit.
Yeah, it is only a little bit.
Ooh.
And we're just going to put it on like this and let it get into the cracks and crevices. Okay, so maybe a little bit more.
But it's better to start off with less.
Better. Well, look, while it's still wet, you can actually take it off. So if we put a ton on there, put a ton on like that, which is probably more than we needed indeed. But you can actually, we've probably added maybe almost a little bit too much patina in there. And basically, we're going to let it catch in the crevices. Now, so as I say, you put a heap on, you can actually take a lot of it off.
That looks so cool. How good does that look? All those
but it's really easy because it's catching obviously where the dirt. I mean, what we're doing is we're recreating, just leaving it hang about for 50 years, because obviously if this was literally hanging on the wall and people were coming along and constantly cleaning it, the areas along here is where you would expect them to be the cleanest because they're the easiest to clean, and obviously in here is when the
you'd need a weird kind
catches.
of like duster to get into those crevices.
Indeed, but that's going to give you. I'll take a bit of paint from there. Now, some people prefer burnt umber, some people prefer raw umber. It's really, it depends on the colour that you're trying to patina. So in this case, obviously, we're doing gold. But of course, you can do any colour, and it really is quite different from just trying to add the raw umber to the paint and then painting it on. You don't get the same effect. So, and you can just see in there, you've got to get right into the crevices and the cracks. If you've got something that's a lot smoother and you're finding that you're getting obvious marks from your cloth, you can actually take a really soft brush and just blend it a little bit, and we're just barely touching it, because you don't want the obvious brush strokes. So I'm just doing that. Okay, so that's the most basic, just one colour on and then sort of wiping it off a little bit. Well, put those to one side.
Okay.
Another finish that can be really cool is as we've done here. So these couple of pieces have been done with copper, so metallic copper, and you've used a little bit, let me guess, bit of burnt umber with that?
Yep.
Yep, bit of burnt umber mixed with the copper, so it tones the copper back a little bit. That almost looks like straight copper there. It's probably got a bit in it.
Yeah.
But that's got a bit more in it, so it's knocked it back a little bit. You put some on there.
Yes, I have.
Awesome.
Great assistant.
Fantastic. I'll do this because you get it.
Yeah, because
It does get on your hands.
Yeah.
Should mention that. It does get on your hands. Good idea to wear gloves, really, because as well as helping to penetrate, stay wet, but also penetrate a little bit your piece, it'll also penetrate your fingers. So this is really cool. With the with using more than one colour, so we've got the antique medium on there, the water-based patina and antiquing medium.
Yep.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of phthalo green,
there you go.
a little bit of white, and we're going to let it mix on the rag here. Now I've got a heap on there at the moment, so I'm just going to sort of move it around a bit. Alright, we really want it to catch in the cracks and things there, and it's a bit bright like that. We've got to get it right in. So we don't want to mix the colour up too much. Like, we want to keep, and obviously there's way too much on there at the moment, but try not to, you want to keep some quite deep green and a little bit of white. You've just got to keep working it a little bit to get
Right.
a real variation of colour, yeah,
Like what happened with
and
the
intensity.
frame.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just sort of concentrate on this area, and you might take a little bit more off. We still need to get into there, but that's basically it. It's really quite simple, and obviously we've got some time. That's still very wet. It's going to stay quite wet for some time. The good thing with using this sort of finish over, say, having a real metallic paint and then adding an acid or washing it in acid and then letting it actually do its thing, is that will continue. I mean, that'll just keep
Oxidising.
It'll keep oxidising.
Yeah.
Here we're doing a faux finish or a fake finish, and once this is dry, that's the way it'll stay. It'll stay exactly like that. I mean, if it's going outside, I'd put a varnish on it, and it's not going to change. It'll look exactly the same. So especially, I mean, you know, people do their front door or furniture and stuff like that. You definitely don't want this sort of thing, the real oxidised stuff
To continue over years.
Well, exactly, but being on a
knock
table
door.
or chairs or something like that, you go and sit on it and you end up a mess. Once this is dry, it's done.
And also, you were saying that, like, because you've got time, like, if you wanted to knock that back a bit too, you can still...
Absolutely. We could go back to almost nothing being there. We can play around with it for some time. I mean, here, the finish here is fantastic, where obviously it's been left to pool and then it's dried. Looks awesome. And then this will do a similar thing. You keep working it, and it's really just a matter of having a play with it and getting it working and just finishing it off the way that you want to have it done. Yeah.
That's great. So it does take, because you've got that time to work with it, it does take a while to dry.
Oh,
so
yeah, for sure. You wouldn't want to varnish it for at least, I would give it a week to be safe.
Yep.
Because in some areas it'll be dry in a few hours.
Yep.
But in other areas it might take literally, especially in the thicker parts here.
Yeah, you can see how thick it is.
Yeah, it might take a day or two, and it depends on the weather and that sort of thing.
The weather.
The
and then
weather,
you use
it's always the weather.
If you're having it outside.
If you're going outside, absolutely you want to go with
varnish.
the terp-based varnish.
Yep.
Or just a water-based varnish, or indeed you can leave it. You don't have to varnish it, it's not necessary, but outside I would tend to, because you've got quite a thin layer. Even though the patina is adding binding capability to it, it is still a really thin layer that's on there.
But we always say that if you're going to have something outside, you should put a terp-based varnish over the top.
Exactly right.
Okay, so we've done a pot, we've done a frame.
Yep.
Should we dirty up this frame?
We'll
as
do
well,
that
just
quickly, but we don't want to take up everyone's time. So.
Oh yes, I didn't prepare that for you. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll
Can you
remove
find
this.
The black? Okay.
Yeah, I can
put that
find the
one on
black.
there. We're going to put this on here. This is really quite cool as well, and leads you into your funky patina. Just the only problem is I've got colour all over my hands.
Yeah, you're going to look good for the next week.
Absolutely. Okay. I should have said, do you want to do this?
Oh, well, actually, yeah, well, but you're
And then
so
you
good at
get
it.
black all over you. So this is really cool. So obviously we've got way more black on than we want, or you can take a clean one
Yeah.
and come in, and it just looks. This looks
So
awesome.
quick, so
Yeah,
easy.
and it
Should we
really
just-
is. It is so easy and quick. And obviously you're just going around. You just keep going around. And actually, this probably is going to. This is going to be a better example for showing. You've got where you've painted the silver in there, which is actually really cool because it gives something for the paint to catch on. But if you didn't want it to be so obvious, you can just take this and just soften it slightly. You might go this way, just to. I mean, this has still got quite a way off drying, but you could just soften that a little bit so it wasn't quite as harsh.
Yeah.
But you've got ages to play with it, and obviously the different types of fabric you use t-shirt material. What you do want to use is make sure it's a fabric that isn't going to have any lint or sort of fluff hanging off it, because that will dry. That'll tend to dry in the paint. And that's it.
I'm a convert.
Excellent.
I think it's great. So easy.
See you next time.
See ya. Bye.